Welcome back to another episode of Record Straight.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing?
It's been a little while, hasn't it?
It's been a little while. I don't know when this is going to come out, nor do I remember the last time we did this. So, yes, it has been a little while.
The last episode that we did was with Steve, which is getting some great feedback.
And you know what? I'm so happy we did, because his live aspect of what we do is so important for artists to build their discovery and all of those things, which we're going to go through today. A little bit different. But let's chat first just about what's been happening, because lots has happened.
Yes, lots has happened. I'll let you get started because you're really excited about it, so you might as well drop it.
We have our management division that's opened up again. I'm very excited. We have signed our first management client. Do I say who?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. So we've been working with Aiden for a while, and he is officially signed with Cartel, which is excellent. I'm very, very excited to be a part of that project, and there's so much happening on that front. That's going to be the year of the lover boy.
It's good to see you kind of dive back into that manager mode for sure. Being really full on about everything and already going.
Not full on. I think it's more very aligned in a direction with the artist. I love tunneling in and being able to solve the problems of audience growth and social growth and financial stability growth. It's all really, really good stuff.
Definitely some cool concepts that are coming out, obviously with his show coming up at the Workers Club in April. And then we've got
April. Please get your tickets if you haven't already.
He's launching his Discord and I love what you're doing. Well, it'll be live by the time we launch this. So he would have already been doing it.
Everyone go and have a look.
But it's good to be able to have focus with an artist over a longer period of time in, deeper audience connection, which is something that you're really focused on, something that we're really both passionate about, which is awesome. But there is lots of stuff going on at the moment. I was kind of rattling through it in my head as you were talking, but we're starting to expand our team now, which is brilliant.
Welcome to Jamie O'Sullivan, who is our lead sales consultant. Is that what his role is?
I actually don't know his role yet.
Jamie.
We'll workshop the name, but Jamie's going to be working a fair bit with me across the artist development side of things. Yep. Just having a lot of initial conversations with artists. He's already killing it. He's been working with us since I think the end of November.
Yes.
And so that's been really good in terms of the services and stuff that we're working on. The new year has got us busy. We are campaign consulting and ongoing consulting are at an all-time high for us, which is fantastic.
I have 10-ish clients right now ongoing, which is excellent. And we're at kind of like a cap, which is crazy. But we're also working again with Mystico on an ongoing basis as well. So that's been consistent. And we're rolling out the Skyland sessions with them, which is going to be really, really fun.
Foraying a bit more into the live scene. Okay, there's going to be a bit more talk around what we're doing with the Homegrown Festival. Yep. Moving into this year, we're taking up a bigger role in that, which is great.
Yep. Shouse is on tour.
Shouse is on tour. So they're either currently there now, depending on when this comes out, but at the point of filming, they leave for Poland this week. So they're doing a whole bunch of shows in Europe, touring their live show. So it's not a DJ, so it's an actual live show with a band. We were lucky enough to work on the show that was in Melbourne at the Howler, and it was incredible. It's cool.
We're very lucky to be a part of that team, via One Love, via Hyperion, working on their social strategy, their PR, their kind of anything that they need us to be, really, which has been a really wonderful way to be able to learn all the different aspects of a Euro show, because we've never really been involved in that from such a ground level, which has been fun.
Definitely worked on tours before, but not
in this capacity.
In depth of a level.
Yeah, correct.
Which has been a learning experience for everybody involved, I think.
Speaking of social strat, we are with Tina as well. So we're very, very happy to be a part of that team, and continuing on with Tina Arena and her upcoming tour in Europe as well.
Yeah, so Europe. She's also doing a show at Fed Square. Again, depending on when this airs, she's either would have already done the show at Fed Square or is about to do it. So, free show at Fed Square. It was a great show to be a part of and to like organize all of the digital communications for it and all of that kind of stuff. So it's
Goodness gracious, there's so much more. But we
so
should
much
get
more.
into why people are actually listening today, because they don't care about what we're doing. We're going to be really honest. Let's chat about UGC as a form of discovery. So that's something that you have been chatting with a lot of the development artists pretty consistently this year. And I think it's a huge shift in what social media is offering for artists to be able to be discovered by audiences and be able to engage with them.
Yeah, it's certainly another form of discovery, which is really massive. I think a really good starting point would be to actually define what UGC is
Correct.
in the context of music. So UGC stands for user-generated content. And for music specifically, what it means is when a fan or a content creator that is not the artist is utilizing the distributed audio, so an artist's sound, in their content, telling their own stories.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've noted towards the end of 2025 and the start, or up until this point in 2026, UGC has actually taken over playlisting and streaming for like in terms of discovery for artists and breaking artists globally, and it's a massive thing that independent artists need to be focusing on moving forward.
Correct. Because right now we're seeing streaming as a form of consumption, not as a form of discovery. The way that it's shifted is that audiences now go to their daily mixes more, or they go to their existing playlists, or they're reusing the same playlist over and over and over again, which is true because you work in an office with me and the same songs play on a loop over and over and over again.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy.
we know that it does happen. I think we want to clarify streaming and playlists, DSPs, they're all really, really great for stats and for being able to have people hear the song, because that's what a lot of artists, like that's their only piece of content.
They
really.
are still very important.
But
Very,
it's
very important.
not for relationship building with your audience.
No.
That's where we're going to define that today.
Yeah, I think going back to the point you said before around personalization, personalization in music is one of the biggest changes that has occurred in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
There's a 73, I think Spotify have shared this stat really recently, that there's a 73% chance that when a normal music consumer, so not myself or you or an artist who's tapped into this, but a normal music consumer being someone like, our parents or my brother or whoever it may be, when they click into the application of Spotify, the first thing that they click into is one of the variations of their daily mix or day list. And that is a massive stat for artists to understand where discovery is actually happening.
Correct.
Whether they're unconsciously or consciously thinking about it, the reality is that, they go to those daily mixes, they go to those day lists, they go to those algorithmic playlists because they are personalized to their taste profile, what they like, what they listen to, the time of day they listen, all of that type of stuff.
But it doesn't show what they will love next. It shows what they're liking right now.
Exactly.
Which is
Enter UGC.
enter social media in general.
Yeah.
And the amplification of a audio snip to be able to be shared by peers, fans, audiences, to kind of showcase your discovery.
I really love the concept of user-generated content for a few reasons. Firstly, because that's where, number one, that's where the audience is, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's how audiences are discovering at the base level.
Everyone's scrolling on Instagram and TikTok.
Exactly right. But I think the second thing that I really like from an artist business perspective is it involves the audience, and it is the audience amplifying the artist as opposed to the artist having to amplify themselves or the middleman of media having to do it.
Yes.
And, for a content creator or just let's not even call it a content creator, let's just say a normal person that has interests with this, shares the same interests with all of their friends and family and all of that kind of stuff. What's really great about UGC is that natural amplification. So that use of a sound to tell their own story can actually amplify what an artist is doing in a way more important way than what an artist can do by just posting content.
I agree. And on the flip side, and I hope that we can talk about both, is that it not only amplifies it for the artist, but it drives a deeper connection with the audience member. So an artist allowing for that UGC and prompting artists to use their sound on socials, it allows the audience member to feel like they are co-creating with the artist. That's a real deep level of connection where you're building community, and those community members are the ones that are going to buy tickets to shows.
Totally.
It all leads towards artist growth and career growth and financial sustainability as an artist.
Yeah.
But I jumped too far,
No.
I think. So we can go back, but it's so important that all of this is being tracked towards your overarching growth point. We're not just talking about UGC as get one person to create one dance with your song and then that's what it is. Do you know what I mean? I want to demonstrate that it is part of an overarching long-term career platform.
Absolutely. And it's not just to do with one song either. It's to do with the catalog that you're developing.
Correct.
And the business that you're developing as an artist overall.
I agree.
I think it's really important to make that distinction. I think with UGC as well, we talk about media all the time, online media. We talk about radio. We talk about,
Artists
playlisting, print.
As third-party endorsement.
But UGC, in my opinion, and I guess there are stats to be able to back this up.
Yeah.
It is the ultimate form of third-party endorsement.
Absolutely.
It is your listener, your fan, your ticket buyer going, I like this song enough, or I like this artist enough to utilize what they're doing to tell my own story. And that is the ultimate form of amplification, but it's also the best form of endorsement moving forward, because it's the audience essentially saying, we are fans of you.
Yeah.
And then to be able to build that deeper, like you mentioned before, linking it back to what you said, to filter that down into email lists, to Discord channels, to broadcast channels, to WhatsApp chats, to further connection with the artist. UGC is a really, really good point to be able to elicit that first initial bit of discovery.
I agree.
I think what would be good is breaking down, number one, how we first can utilize algorithms to be able to actually generate an audience that will be willing to amplify your music first.
Yep.
And I'd love to go through that. But I'd also want to go through some different ways logistically around what we can do with sounds.
Some practical steps to give to everyone listening. I agree.
Exactly right. So for the artists that are listening, I would say that 90% of them are independent local acts that don't necessarily have the resources financially nor the resources within the industry to be able to make something go viral like that.
Yeah. And that's really hard for even big labels with lots of money.
But what you do have is social media apps at a click of a button.
Yep.
And so I think before we start thinking about step number 3, which is the audience actually amplifying what you do, I think what's really important is how we talk about the first 2 steps of UGC. So number 1, how we target, and number 2, how we actually engage with them. And, in my experience, if you're doing step number 1 and step number 2 correctly, if you're targeting and you're engaging with the audience well, step number 3, which is the amplification, happens naturally.
Yeah. Take them through it. How do we target them?
So I think, look, I'm going to do a bit of a speed run here, and it's obviously going to be quite broad. It's different for every artist. But the best way that I've found that we've done it in probably the last 12 months is targeting audiences through specific sounds. Before I get started, this is applicable to all 4 major platforms. So Facebook Reels, TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. I'll also preface this by saying that the strategy is the same, but how we do it within the platform obviously differs. So where you find sounds on Instagram versus where you find sounds on TikTok, it's a little bit different, but it's basically common sense.
Yeah.
So targeting our audiences are actually quite easy. What I generally suggest with artists, and again, when we're working with artists, it's a little bit more specific to them, but broadly what I'd be doing if I was an artist is I'd be creating a list of reference tracks or reference artists that you feel you share a similar audience to, that you operate within the same niche as, or someone that you've used as reference in the creation of a release.
Yeah. Who their audience and your audience would be aligned.
Exactly. What I'd then do is I'd then go to one of the 4 major platforms. If we talk about Instagram as a starting point, because that's where most artists at a local level are focusing outside of TikTok. If you go into the search bar on Instagram and you type in that artist name and click search, what will come up the top? It will be, it'll say accounts, tags, audio, events, etc., places, whatever. If you click on the audio tab, what will happen is it'll list all of that artist's specific distributed audio, and it'll list how many reels have been created utilizing that sound, right? So what I would do is I'd pick the sound that is most relevant to you, click into that, and it'll show you all of the videos
that have been created already.
All of the UGC.
Yeah.
At the broadest level, that's your audience. But I would not recommend going and hitting up everybody there. What I would do then is I'd look to create a list of anywhere between kind of 10 to 30 people. And you want to be looking for people that fit into one of the 3 categories. They are using that sound or sounds that are similar consistently. They are operating within a niche that links you and your reference artist together. So it could be fashion, food, gigs, politics, anything. And guys who are consistently on the platform. I urge all artists not to worry what kind of views they're getting, what kind of likes they're getting, because these guys are your endpoint. Like, these are your listeners, right? And I would save their names into a Google spreadsheet, their usernames. You know, the way that we do it at Cartel is we split it up by platform. So we go Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and we just literally list their usernames.
Yeah. And that sounds overwhelming to artists sometimes. I do get a lot of pushback when I do tell artists this strategy. Not to stress. Start it. Try it for 10 minutes a day. Start with the 30, build it to 60, build it to 90. And what will happen is the algorithm is your friend. So the search page will start to show what you're searching and show those names that are similar, maybe artists that are similar, venues that are similar, and it'll start to show up in your search bar. So then eventually, give it a few weeks. If you're doing this consistently, you won't have to use those lists anymore. You'll be able to just go on the search bar and engage with the people. Can you talk a little bit more about how you engage? Because that's another question I get.
Yeah. So what I generally recommend, and I mean, I do this for Cartel. And
you do. And our search page is now full of just independent artists.
Well, our entire business was built off this model.
Strategy, yeah.
So it does work.
Yeah.
But what I would do is I would say for, again, the 99% of artists that are listening would be spending anywhere between 20 minutes and 3 hours on their phone a day, probably death scrolling.
Oh, you're all scrolling. Don't pretend that you're doing anything productive on there.
Yeah. Well, we're going to use some of that time to be productive.
Correct.
And I would use kind of 5 to 10 minutes of that time, maybe 3 days a week, maybe 4 days a week, whatever's more comfortable to the artist. What I'd be doing is I'd be going through that list and I'd be creating meaningful, impactful dialogue on posts that you as an artist can get behind.
Yeah.
Now, I need to be very clear here. I'm not telling artists to spam anyone. I'm not telling you to talk about yourself or promote yourself. I'm not telling you to put 500 bicep emojis. Real dialogue that will elicit a response, right?
It's
so
conversation starters.
Exactly. So, if someone is engaging, if your music is very political, for example, right? And someone has done a post using a sound that you've targeted that is somewhat political, right? Putting in your view, creating a discussion there because you're operating within a niche that your music is about, right? Super important. Now, what that does is it creates a two-pronged effect. It has an effect on the audience you're trying to build, but it also has an effect on your algorithm that you were just talking about.
Yeah.
So the more you do this, the more data you feed to the algorithm around who your audience is based on who you're engaging with. So the more you do this, the less and less relevant the list that you've created in the targeting phase actually becomes.
Correct.
Because, I'll use us as an example. Like when I go onto the Cartel Instagram, I go onto the discovery page, it is only independent artists, music industry, artist development, because they're the only 3 things that we operate in.
Yeah.
Right. So it's super important that we're niching everything down. on an audience level, what it does is it creates repeat exposure, right? So repeat exposure, I say it all the time, develops discovery develops fans buy tickets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, when you're commenting on a random person's post, they'll see it, they may reply, they may not reply, but 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to forget about it, right? But 2 weeks later, you might comment on somebody else's post and that person might see it. That's the second touch point.
Because it's all operating within the same niche, yes.
Then the third touch point is that the algorithm will show you a bit of your organic content to that person.
Yep.
That's the third or fourth touch point.
They might get an ad. They might stream your music.
Exactly.
It all interconnects. And that works towards, just for artists who are listening and trying to understand, that works towards the 9 points of marketing.
Exactly.
Because in marketing, generally, in comms, you have to have 9 touch points with an audience member for them to make a decision about your brand. And so it's 9, right?
7.
I think it's 9. Doesn't matter. 7 to 9 to 13 I've heard as well, apparently. But like, we're going to get multiple touch points in so your audience can make a decision whether they want to follow you, whether they want to be invested in your project, whether they want to come buy a show, ticket to a show, whatever it might be.
Yeah. What we want to get away from is, particularly with UGCs, we want to get away from the point of hitting up a random going, hey, I know that you're into this style of music. Will you use my sound? It's not going to work. That's the reality, right? We've got to build up that relationship first. UGC will happen naturally as that flows on.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I wanted to say before we move into the more logistical distribution side of things is with the engagement phase and the targeting phase, number one, this is way more important than content. The dialogue that you create with your audience is vastly more important than the content that you are sharing. You can share the best reel or the best TikTok of all time. No one's going to give a fuck if you do not have a relationship with them.
Agreed.
Just felt like I had to say that.
No, I know. And
going to clip that one up. Timestamp that, Ethan. Fuck.
The UGC aspect of this is just as important as content. It's got to fit into the narrative. We can't say it is more important. Artists need to be doing it.
No, it is more important.
Sure, but artists need to be doing it. There is no way around that. They need to be doing both, and they need to both fit into a narrative.
It fits into the wider communications lens. So if we're thinking about repeat exposure, that dialogue is one point. The content is the second point.
Yeah.
Being able to retarget your audience through like a custom audience through Meta, links to our digital strategy, which is the third touch point. Media is that extra form of third-party endorsement is another touch point. Yeah. And so for an audience member to make that decision of discovery, they're being hit 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times before they go, oh my God, this artist and I are having really good conversations. They keep popping up. They sound like they're popping off.
Yeah.
Wonder what else they're doing. Boom, follow. That's an active, engaged fan.
Correct.
So I think we kind of went off on a bit of a tangent there, but what I'd love to do is I'd love to dive into the more technical side of some practical stuff that we can do for audiences to start using the sound.
Yeah.
If that's cool, if you want to dive into some of that stuff.
So there's kind of 3-4 ways that are practical to encourage UGC. So once you identify your audiences and you're consistently doing that, that is an action point for an artist. So please take 10 to 15 minutes a day, make those lists like Anthony was saying, find those micro creators, are we going to call them that? Find those people who are already within the niche that you're trying to break into, and do that for 10 to 15 minutes a day consistently. That's a big word, consistent. This strategy only works when you are consistent with it. Absolutely. It doesn't have to be 10 minutes a day. It can be 5 minutes. It can be 5 minutes every 3 days, as long as you're showing the algorithm who is going to listen, and those people are going to touch point and then create off the back of that.
Just quickly with that as well, it's also over a catalog. So consistent over a catalog. It's not over, this is not a strategy that you do for one release and then don't do it again.
I agree.
It's something that we are consistently doing, whether we're on release cycle or off it.
Because all of this is trying to drive deeper connection.
Great.
Fans want to feel seen. They want to be able to co-create. They don't want to just stream you. You're going to build a real community here. That is the point of this conversation.
World building.
And also the point of being an artist in terms of promotion and marketing.
Yeah.
Okay, some quick, beautiful, wonderful, practical steps for UGC. Release the stems, the 30-second snippet or the 45, whatever it is, depending on the distribution team. Release a snip of the track early, or consistently create content with that 45-second to a minute snip of the track that you want people to use all over your socials pre-release. Consistently do it, have the same snip. What you can do is ask the distribution teams that you work with to release it early. A lot of people have a problem with that, a lot of artists. For this strategy, it makes sense. For overarching, it makes sense. Distribution teams are going to push back. We've spoken with a couple of distribution teams, with a couple of artists, and they say, and just as a disclaimer, I guess, that it affects the playlisting. But playlisting is not discovery. Everyone, playlisting is not discovery. And so when a distribution team is going to tell an artist that, it gets really annoying, because it depends on what the strategy is that the artist is going for. If the artist is trying to build their world and they're building their discovery and they're building their audience connection, editorial playlisting isn't even a conversation that they should be having. And so it doesn't matter when you release the track early. Doesn't matter. Number one, I think personally.
I think the other way around it is, like, if the distributor is not willing to distribute the audio early, just do it as an original sound.
Correct. So you that's what I'm saying. You create the content pre-release that is the original audio, and then you can actually rename it as well. I didn't realize that until recently, that you can rename your original audio as well, and it'll come up as your artist name and the title of the song, which is cool. So release it early, pump it out as you're starting to do the UGC reach out as well. So the 10 minutes a day and releasing the track early, a snip of the track early. Then you can seed to micro influencers as well. So a lot of artists have a lot of artist friends, a lot of peers, a lot of creators. You can share your music and ask them to also create. Just expands the platform. Would you agree?
There's also this might not be overly relevant for artists that don't have a budget, but there are some good platforms out there like sound.me, which allow you to connect with creators, UGC creators across the globe.
Yep.
I generally wouldn't recommend, I think we wouldn't generally recommend using a platform like that until you've got at least an understanding of what territory the music is working in.
And who your audiences actually are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you've got a song that's popping off in Brazil, for example, and it's working really well, and you've seen a little bit of a groundswell in people using the sound there, it's then good to use a platform like SoundMe, because you get bigger access to creators in that realm. But just doing it off your own back probably doesn't work.
No, I agree.
What you're trying to really generate by releasing the sound early is you're trying to generate some groundswell, because then what you can hype, exactly. Because then what you can do is you can then service that to your distributor and say, something is happening here.
Yeah, I bet the editorial playlist will take you then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have some groundswell here. There's something happening. There's some buzz. What can we do with this on all the other platforms? Because they're not going to want to miss out on this.
It also allows for further streaming and the excitement of the song within an audience anyway.
Yeah.
Like I know, and just a real quick example, so sorry, but when we released Walls with Aiden compared to Gabriella, we did a lot of pre-release promo for Walls, and Walls is significantly outperforming in terms of streaming, because of all of the social UGC that Aiden did before Walls and the release of that. And it was a whole narrative and it was a whole thing, but he used this strategy and it kind of worked.
Shouse is exactly the same on a global scale. You know, Love Tonight came out in 2016 or 2017, blew up in COVID over 2020. And
Very different.
It blew up because of UGC though.
It did, yeah.
You know, people utilizing the sound on different platforms. You're talking about, you know.
That was an amplification of artists as well, which other independent artists can also use that strategy. They can deliver the sound to other artists.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I think that's a lot of information.
Heaps of information. And we appreciate you sticking with us. If you have any questions, because that is very dense, there is a lot more to say. Where can they find us? How can they hit us up?
Yeah, so all the pluggy stuff. You
Please
can
do.
hit us up on www.cartelaustralia.com.au, Instagram, cartel.australia, TikTok, same.
If you're listening on this on any streaming service, we'll have all of our links and things on there anyway.
You can hit us up directly via email.
Yeah, say
email at
howdy.
info@cartelaustralia.com. Look, guys, we quite often come across as quite harsh across social media.
I don't think that's
but
true.
I think it's really important that we do that to generate discovery and to upskill artists. So it's really it's really important for everyone to understand. If you do have questions or you want to dive a little bit deeper into a specific topic, please hit us up. We are very approachable. We're not that scary.
We're much nicer than what we come across.
Yeah, for sure. I read some of the stories that I write sometimes and go, far out, that was rough, but that's okay.
Until next time,
catch you later.
Thank you so much. Keep creating and we'll speak to you soon.
Peace.
Bye.
I'll just